Whenever a big story breaks, the first version we hear is almost never the whole story. And a recent incident at Mar-a-Lago is the perfect example of this. It shows how the real narrative is often hidden, and it has to be pieced together from all those little digital breadcrumbs we leave behind. So it all starts with this really stark, shocking fact. A young man is dead. He tried to get onto the property of a former president's home. And right away, it's just a blur of breaking news alerts and a whole lot of speculation. But underneath all that noise are the real questions, aren't they? Who was this person? And what could possibly have driven him to do this? To get those answers, well, investigators and, let's be honest, the public, we all turn to the one place everyone leaves a trace, the internet. And that kicks off this frantic race against the clock. It happens every single time. As soon as an incident like this occurs, there's this massive rush to find and make sense of the person's digital footprint. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because you have two groups with different goals creating this kind of digital conflict. On one side, you have journalists and these OSINT analysts, that's open source intelligence, and they are scrambling to find clues before accounts get deleted or scrubbed. But on the other side, you've got law enforcement, and they're trying to preserve that same evidence, which often means taking accounts offline to stop them from being contaminated. So it's this genuine race between public discovery and official procedure. The person at the center of this digital race was 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin. And as soon as his name went public, the search was on to build a picture of who this young man was. But what investigators found, or maybe more accurately, what they didn't find, was really surprising. For someone in their early 20s, Martin was almost a ghost online. The few traces he did leave, though, started to paint a very specific picture. His digital footprint was much smaller than you'd probably expect. It actually turns out this is kind of common for Gen Z, who often use social media way differently than older generations. What they did find pointed to a young artist from a very rural farm country part of North Carolina. He was selling paintings of country life on his personal website. The initial profile wasn't of some radical. It was of a quiet, creative person. And this timeline, wow, it reveals a life that was marked by some recent achievements, but also some really deep tragedy. 2 years ago, his older sister was killed in a car accident. Just last year, he launched his art business and downloaded the Bible app, maybe signaling a turn towards faith or a search for some kind of meaning. And then, just days before the incident, his family reported him missing. Now, in all those initial reports, one detail was repeated over and over, that he had a rifle. But as more information came out, a crucial correction was made. And this one correction completely reframes how we understand the whole event. This is the key question, because the difference between the weapon that was reported and the weapon he actually carried, it changes the entire narrative of what his motive might have been. When you hear a rifle in a context like this, your mind immediately goes to a sniper, right? To an assassination attempt, a long-range threat. It implies a very specific, deadly plan from a distance. But Martin didn't have a rifle. He had a shotgun. And a shotgun is a close-quarters weapon. It's designed for home defense. It fires a spray of pellets that's really only effective from a few meters away. You simply can't snipe someone with a shotgun. So the crucial point is this. Bringing a shotgun to this location means he almost certainly wasn't trying to kill someone from far away. This detail points away from a calculated assassination attempt and towards something else entirely, something more desperate and probably more personal. And that brings us to the human story that's behind all these headlines. Because while the world was focused on the political angles, one family was living through an absolutely unimaginable nightmare. This was the second child this family had lost in just 2 years. First, their daughter, at age 21 in a car wreck, and now their son, also 21. The remaining son is currently serving in the U.S. Army. And to make this all so much worse, the missing person post his mother put on Facebook became a target. It was just flooded with cruel, sarcastic comments after the news broke. A really brutal reminder of the dark side of that same digital world we use to find answers. So the family had to endure not only this immense grief, but public mockery on top of it. So what this all leaves us with is a really powerful question. Austin Tucker Martin's digital footprint, it gave us clues. An artist, a grieving brother, a young man perhaps searching for faith. But it also showed us its limits. It painted a fragmented picture, not a complete person. And it reminds us that no matter how much we search, a person's true story, their pain, their motives, their final desperate moments, that may never fully live online.